Greetings, hip cats. Slide into my path. Let imagination be your passport. And welcome to the kingdom of keys. Well, my hip cats, we have a rare opportunity right now. As the spirits are willing, it is now time for us to journey across that great divide, through the veil, separating the worlds, ours, and eternity, as we cross over to the other side, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And now, from the other side, I hear a voice. Who is it? It's the pizza man himself from Pisa, Italy. Our distinguished guest this evening, Galileo Galilei. Please welcome. We have an opportunity to also introduce from the other side another distinguished and brilliant mind who comes to us through time. Galileo's Inquisitor, His Eminence the Cardinal Bellarmine. Welcome. Well, folks, some of you already may know that Galileo was declared a heretic in the early 16th century and put under house arrest. Cardinal Bellarmine was a powerful figure in the church at the time. And one of the questions I'm going to ask is, Galileo, what got you started down this path of astronomy? And I think one thing we've got to keep in mind is that other astronomers of the day, most notably Copernicus, had already started talking about the sun being the center of our solar system. So why was Galileo's position so heretical? Let's find out. Thank you for giving me this chance to visit your time. Before I answer your question, let me congratulate the last 3 or 4 generations on this planet, including people here in the 21st century. I must say, the scientific advances you have made from a 16th century perspective are nothing short of miraculous. In medicine alone, we used to think that the center of the body, where everything happened, was in the heart. We had no idea that the mind did what it does. And one other thing about your 21st century, I must compliment all of you on the restraint you show. Had we, in our time, the weapons of destruction that you possess, I'm not so sure we would be here. But let me answer your question. I studied medicine at the University of Pisa, and I discovered mathematics while I was there, and it was so precise, and medicine was so icky. I thought I would pursue that aspect of science, and then I read of Copernicus's theories on the solar system and how it might be possible that the Earth was moving in space, which at the time was beyond our wildest dreams. You didn't sense any motion. When you looked at the stars, they seemed motionless. How could we be rotating around the sun? And yet Copernicus had completely worked out the mathematical model, which needed some additional adjustments. However, I then decided I would build a telescope, which was already invented some years earlier, and I added additional magnification powers, and I was able to see the moons of Jupiter rotating about the planet. And I also noticed that there were mountains on the moon, which in our era was unheard of. Celestial objects were smooth and godlike, perfect spheres. How could there be mountains on the moon? And yet I saw them. And I also saw Venus had phases, just like our moon has phases. And I began to think, Copernicus must be onto something. And slowly but surely I came around to the notion that the Earth was orbiting the sun. And I could not hold that idea back. It begged to be shared with my fellow scientists. And therein began a long journey in my life with my good friend. We are now on the same bocce ball team, Bobby and I. Cardinal Bellarmine, that is. Yes. I must point out that although scientific knowledge is valuable, it is wholesome and in the divine. All good that can come from any human endeavor is to be praised. What one must be careful of is confusing truth and knowledge. Truth comes only from one source, and that is the divine. Knowledge changes from one day to the next. In Europe, in our time, the Roman Catholic Church had established almost 1,000 years of peace. It took many, many hundreds of years. When the Roman Empire fell, Europe descended into a darkness, warring factions for hundreds of years. It was the Catholic Church that stepped into the void, providing a coherency, an infrastructure, a place of stability. If we do not or cannot place that stability into the hands of all of the people, we are not doing God's work. When one crack begins, it can expand. You must remember, at the time in the 16th century, many things were changing in the world. There was a small monk who came to knocking at the door from Germany, who told us we were bad boys. You know who I'm talking about. I can't even say his name, that naughty boy. Let me tell you, it's our job to hold this together for the good of all of the people. One crack begins with a heretic pulling down the truths of the church, and soon there is just rubble. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break from this fascinating discussion and refresh our beverages, load up on the popcorn, and return next time for more interesting discussions from our guests. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, keep some spunk in the trunk, a smile on your dial, and fire in your desire.